Okay.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Yannick, and this is Clotilde. This is Niels. He's 9 years old. And what's your name?
Emma.
And you are?
Emma.
And you are?
How old are you?
3 years old.
3 years.
Okay. Today is January 24th, 2020, and we are about 200-300 miles west of Cape Verde. We left a few days ago with our catamaran, and we are now sailing to the Caribbean. We left France in August of 2019 and went up in the North Sea. We crossed the North Sea, went to Norway to visit some of our family because we are from France, we are from Norway, and we are also from America. Clémence was born in Florida.
Yes, sir, I am a princess.
And she's a princess. Our boat is a 2005 46-foot Freddy's 46 designed by Eric LaRouche, and it was built in France. We bought it in 2016 and started to work on it to refit and just some general improvements. We are planning on cruising indefinitely at this point, and next year we are going to be in the Caribbean again and cruise the east coast of the US. The goal in these videos is to show you what's the life like on a cruising boat, especially with kids, which is an extra challenge, and we are hoping this will be useful to some of you guys for whatever reason. Maybe you're considering doing this, maybe you're just wondering what it's like, because obviously some things are different, like education, and maybe along the way we could give you a few tips, like practical stuff that we found useful, or good equipment that we like to use. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll do our best to make a good job making them. So in this first episode we're going to go back in time a little bit, when we crossed the Bay of Biscay in end of October, early November, and went from France across this treacherous bay to reach the northwest coast of Spain. Okay, so here we are off the coast of France, just sailing on a heading of 220 towards Spain. We were waiting for several days. We've been waiting several days for a window to go to Spain from France and to cross the famous Bay of Biscay. And right now it's the end of October, so those windows are very scarce. Right now the wind is 23, gusting maybe 25 knots from the northeast, so it's going our way, so that's great. Yesterday evening we left France and actually moored in an archipelago that's very famous around here, that's called Les Glénans, and we went in there at high tide, and towards in the middle of the night at low tide we had only like 2 feet or 70 centimeters under our keel, but that worked out great. In the morning, so several things happened simultaneously, as always. So we were all ready for our great departure, and what happened is the tide was going down, and so we had to hurry to get out of that archipelago. We would have been trapped, or at least it would have been very difficult to navigate through all this, between all those rocks. And so at the same time the tide was going down, the sun took quite a while to get up. We started the engine and we had some work done. We did some work recently on both engines, and one of the hose for the cooling popped out. So no more starboard engine, I guess, and we killed this one. And at the same time, we have a man overboard beacon, like one of those PLB. We have the same ones on our life jackets right here. So one of those, and I recognized the MMSI right away, so the code of it was obviously like one of those beacons. No mistakes possible. So, and it was in the north of the archipelago, but first we didn't have a fix. It was just like the alarm was blaring everywhere in the boat, and remember, it's dark, tide's going down, we have rocks around us, and we have to get out, and there's like 25 knots of wind. So, as always, these things seems to like to combine in the very same like 5 minutes. So in the end, here's what we did. We killed one engine, we got out of harm ourselves. I kind of suspected it could be like a false alarm, the man overboard. And anyway, we were in no position to join the geographical position that we finally got after like maybe 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, we get a fix. So I take my phone and I call the Coast Guard, because we were still within phone range, and I didn't want to like, you know, put too much chatter on 16. So we had a good conversation with the guy. I gave him all the information I had, and he called me back like 10 minutes later. Turns out it was a fisherman who had one of those on board. But those guys, the fishermen, usually turn their AIS off. So I didn't know there was a ship over there. I could only see his PLB telling me someone was in the water. So that's it. And now we are doing 8 to 9 knots, going for Spain. And it's a 2 days passage. And hopefully we will be there in the morning. Right now the strategy is to be able to avoid ending our trip with headwind. So we've been here in this area. This is how they call a bay here in Spain, and we've been here for now a couple of days, and we've had a lot of wind. There was a storm that hit the west coast of France, and like they had over 140 kilometers per hour over there. It was a named storm, so really bad time in the Bay of Biscay. I'm glad we went through before that. So in the wake of that, here at anchor, we had more than over 50 knots of wind. There's another catamaran that is in the bay with us, and a Lagoon 40, I believe, and they broke part of their mooring due to the traction of the boat on the chain. We have a good chain. We have a chain that is of a special grade. It resists over 11 tons, and we have a 35 kilo spade anchor. Right now, the first night, it was interesting because it was the first time we tried so much wind at anchor. That was a first for us. So over 50 knots, we had 45 meters of chain, and we didn't move at all. We had 2 anchor alarms set up, and at some point when it was blowing 50 knots, we had the engines running and ready to relieve the pressure on the anchor if it was necessary. So that was a good test. Now the problem is that we are still stuck here, and I mean, they call this part of the Spanish coast the Costa de Morte, so the coast of death, which tells you something about its reputation. And we really have to wait for the good window and make small hops towards our next anchorage and try to work our way down the Portuguese coast. Once this is done, then we will be able to continue our trip south. We're already planning to go to Lisbon, and there we will try to get our interview with the US Embassy to get our American visas. We're looking for B1, B2 for Niels and I, and Clotilde already has a visa, and Clémence, my daughter, she is already an American, so that's not a problem for her to return home. So that's the situation right now. The area is nice, of course. It's a good anchorage, 2 meters under our keel at low tide, but at the same time we don't feel like there's much to do on shore, so we stayed on the boat and did a few boat projects and school for the kids and other things like that. This morning I fixed a leaking fuel water separator for the generator that was leaking and other stuff like that. Yeah, just keeping ourselves busy and waiting for the good weather window. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and follow us next week in the second episode when we arrive in Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, and we take the kids around the city to get their yellow fever shots. See you!
I think it hurt a little bit.